mythology. There was an old legend telling of an epic battle between warring tribes, and hundreds of warriors were killed on those shores. This island had also served as a traditional native burial ground for hundreds of years until the arrival of European settlers back in the 19th century. With the arrival of the Europeans came the disease of smallpox, and so this island served as a quarantine facility during the smallpox epidemic in the late 1800s. And not surprisingly, with a history like this, the island is said to be haunted. And today, the buildings that you see on the island belong to the HMCS Discovery Naval Reserve, and the island is used for cadet training camps.
Wow, this should change it. Make it a tourist attraction. Go see a haunted island.
And we are now re-entering the waters of Harbour, which gets its name from the underwater coal deposits that were discovered here back in 1859. Only a couple of tons of the coal were excavated because logging was the industry of the day at that time. And so it remains buried still under the high-rises of Vancouver's West End. And today this harbour is devoted mainly to the moorage of private yachts. But back when the coal was discovered here, the only interest in it was by three young business partners who decided that where there's coal, there's clay, or rather they realized that. And clay makes bricks, so they decided to make their own, to start up their own brick making company. They bought up the entire West End, about 550 acres, that's the land to the left of us now, and they paid the equivalent of what would be about $1 an acre today. However, with free timber in everyone's backyard to build homes, the three greenhorns, as they were called by the local newspaper, were ridiculed for wasting their money. If only they had waited about 20 years, because the entire town site of Vancouver burnt to the ground in 1886, just a couple of short months after the city was incorporated. And it only took the citizens a few days to bounce back, and they started to rebuild almost immediately. However, this time they constructed the buildings out of brick. On our port side now, we are passing by the Weston Bay Shore Hotel. This is one of Vancouver's finest hotels. It's the only hotel in the city that's accessible by land, sea, and air. They have their own private wharf, and they have a heliport up on the roof. Just a little interesting historical note about the Weston Bay Shore. American billionaire Howard Hughes lived there for some time in the early 1970s. I believe it was for about a 6-month period. And at that time he was suffering from acute obsessive-compulsive disorder. And the famous entrepreneur and aviator lived as a recluse up in the penthouse suite, which he had medically sealed for his stay. Never left the suite while he was here, and was attended to only by a small handful of his own assistants. He refused any service at all from the hotel staff.
Whack job.